Let's get this straight. It's not me who's changed. It's the left, who is now made up of a small contingent who've gone mental.
Weaponized and bastardized, and so I was surprised to hear you use the term.
Maher didn't hold back at all when he started talking about cultural and social issues, especially those around gender and LGBTQ rights. He's not afraid to completely mock woke culture and those who proudly call themselves woke. And you know Bill Maher, America's favorite comedian, writer, and political commentator, had some really strong opinions to share on The View. In fact, his take was so intense that even Whoopi Goldberg seemed eager to jump into the controversy and take a bite out of it.
And so you can't really defend that on the other side.
No, you can't. But before we go, I want to say...
No, we're not going anywhere.
No, okay, but I just want to say one thing, because we were talking in the break.
So when did this whole discussion actually start? Well, it actually kicked off with one of the most overused and hotly debated topics in Hollywood, woke culture. Seriously, just take a look at how even Maher himself seems to be avoiding the word altogether.
Woke is what was sort of ruining everything, and I know that you're...
No, I didn't say ruining everything. I said that's why Trump could get reelected.
But in another interview, Bill didn't hold back when it all came to talking about woke culture, and he wasn't shy about using the term wokeness either. In fact, he straight up defined it and threw out some pretty blunt remarks.
I mean, 5 years ago, Abraham Lincoln was not a controversial figure among liberals. We liked him.
Bill has made a name for himself by tearing into woke culture in several interviews over the years. Take, for example, his interview on CNN in 2022. He criticized woke people for believing and doing things that, in his words, just don't make any sense.
But there's a reason why the term woke has come to signify going too far and doing things that don't make sense.
So according to Bill, people who believe in wokeness are just going way too far, which is probably why he doesn't hesitate to go all out on criticizing them. In yet another interview, this time with DeSantis on September 30, 2023, Bill didn't hold back at all when sharing his thoughts on wokeness.
I'm fed up with woke too. That's why I have trouble with friends in Hollywood. I'm an old school liberal, and that's a whole different thing.
But no one saw what was coming next. Bill took trolling the media to a whole new level.
I mean, I used to be able to watch the nightly news, for example. I can't do it. I mean, first of all, it should be called, here's some video we found that's fun to watch.
On the one hand, he pointed out the type of content the news reports nowadays often lack are any real value. For example, he joked about how stories about things happening on a plane, as long as nobody dies, are basically a whole lot of nothing. Bill's message to the media, they need to do a better job.
You know, it's just nothing.
Yeah.
And it's narrative over truth. You know,
Narratives over truth. Those are some bold words from Bill. He says that because of this, it even changes the way he interacts with people who watch the news. For some reason, it's tough for him to believe them or take what they say at any face value. In just a few minutes, woke culture and the media got a major smackdown from Bill. But here's the thing, Bill doesn't let himself off the hook either. His own self-critique was more subtle, but it was definitely there, lurking beneath the surface.
But it was ever present.
see, I think we're tribal now, which is not good. And I think there's 4 tribes. Basically, there's old school liberals, which I would mostly count myself as, old school conservatives. There's still some of those left.
You also won't believe what Bill spilled on The View about college protests. Before even getting to his fiery take on woke culture, he went all in, saying it's gone too far, and get this, he even hinted that it might end up helping Trump snag another term. His comments were so bold and uncensored that it left everyone buzzing.
No, I didn't say ruining everything. I said that's why Trump could get reelected.
That's why Trump could get reelected.
Yeah.
So the term woke has been, in my view, co-opted by the right and weaponized and bastardized.
Maher really didn't hold back when he boldly suggested that the extreme side of woke culture might just give Trump a better shot at winning the next election. And it wasn't some random baseless claim. He explained how when people see the far left pushing their agendas too aggressively, it can end up pushing those same people towards someone like Trump.
They've gone from that to wondering if I should run for president.
It'll be interesting to see if Bill Maher is recruited to run for the presidency.
Think about it. When people every day see college students shouting down speakers or making crazy demands, it really turns them off. They might not be huge fans of Trump, but they start to see him as a pushback against what they think is total chaos on the other side. Maher's point is crystal clear. The more extreme and demanding these woke activists get, the more they push away the average voter. You and I have seen it. Someone's had enough of being called a bigot just for asking a simple question, or they're sick of hearing how every little thing is offensive. Suddenly, Trump doesn't look so bad, because at least he's pushing back against what they see as way too much political correctness. It's not about loving Trump's policies or his personality. It's about rejecting what feels like a suffocating woke culture. Maher also touched on how language plays a huge part in all this. Sure, language evolves, but in the political world, it often gets twisted and used as a weapon.
But over time, its meaning has twisted and turned, often used now to describe a kind of aggressive, preachy progressiveness that leaves no room for debate or dissent. This evolution isn't just confusing, it's polarizing. When terms that once united people in the fight against injustice.
Take the term woke, for example. It originally came from a good place, and to raise awareness about social injustices, especially in the black community. But over time, its meaning has twisted and changed. Nowadays, it's often used to describe a sort of aggressive, preachy progressiveness, and it doesn't leave room for debates or differing opinions. This change isn't just confusing, it's dividing people. When words that once brought people together in the fight against injustice start causing division, it's no surprise that voters feel more divided than ever. Maher even joked about using a new term instead of woke since it triggers such negative reactions now. He suggested something like super far left. It was a funny moment, but it made a real point. A language has power, and when it gets caught up in politics, it can cause serious problems. Just look at how some words have changed over time. Homeless used to be seen as a compassionate term compared to older, harsher words like bums. And now we're expected to say people experiencing homelessness. While it's well-meaning, Maher argues it shifts how we see homelessness, from a problem we should solve to a condition that needs protecting. This kind of shift in language can impact how we approach real situations, turning things into more of a political correctness issue about finding political fixes.
Which is known to the state of California to cause cancer. That's right, California thinks you're going to snort your shed.
He sees these protests as a big sign that woke culture has completely spiraled out of control on college campuses all over the country. Students aren't just raising concerns or asking for change anymore. They're demanding everyone conform to their views. If someone dares to have a different opinion, they're either shouted down or physically stopped from speaking. Maher points out that this isn't just about activism anymore. It's about shutting up anyone who doesn't fall in line with the woke agenda. It's almost like the very idea of free speech, something that used to be a core liberal value, has been flipped upside down. There has been significant impact on society when young people who are supposed to be receptive to new concepts and eager to learn begin acting in this manner. It sends a clear message that disagreement is not permitted. This kind of environment is a detrimental place to a debate and prevents individuals from engaging in critical thinking. Individuals who are not a part of these academic bubbles observe what is taking place and think to themselves, if this is the future, count me out. Eventually, they start to view the progressive movement as a whole with skepticism and even angry feelings. And when this happens, it becomes less about actually fighting for injustice and more about enforcing a strict new orthodoxy, which, ironically, can be just as oppressive as the old systems they're trying to replace.
You know, it's also not safe to drive when you're crying. Should we make a car that follows your texts and stops the engine when you're dumped?
Maher also shines light on how the left has changed over the years. He remembers when being liberal meant standing up for free speech, tolerance, and individual rights. But now it feels like the far left is more focused on enforcing purity tests and demanding ideological conformity. Maher's observations point out a worrying trend when the left, which used to be all about human rights, starts cozying up to the groups that blatantly violate those same rights. It confuses and pushes people away. It sends mixed signals and weakens the credibility of real social justice efforts. By bringing this up, Maher isn't just throwing criticism around. He's calling for a return to true liberal values. He wants to see a focus on protecting free speech, defending individual rights, and standing firmly against oppression, no matter who the oppressor is.
California just passed a law requiring large retailers to have a non-gendered toy section. A non-gendered toy section? Isn't Ken enough?
There's no doubt about where Bill stands when it comes to wokeness. Time and time again, he's been super clear about his opinions. And let's be real, the woke crowd probably isn't the biggest fan. But what about you? What's your take on woke culture and the social Cold War between liberals and conservatives? Do you agree with Bill's point of view? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more. See you in the next one.